All right, so I saw on CBSSports.com grades for the Steelers and for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
They trade, and look, we're a couple days removed now, but just in case you forgot, I'll remind you: Steelers get Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith,
Mhm.
2027 7th-round pick. They paid Jalen Ramsey $1.5 million more than the Dolphins were going to give him on his contract for the upcoming season. And Jonnu Smith basically got like 3 times the money he was going to get. So he got what he wanted. He got paid. And good luck to him. Paws up forever. The Dolphins get Minkah Fitzpatrick. Minka's back in Miami, which is just kind of like a cool full circle moment, and a 5th-round pick in 2027. So they CBS Sports says that the Steelers get an A minus, which I think most people would agree. It's not that the Dolphins lost the trade, because we can argue until we're blue in the face in how this kind of benefited the Dolphins. They weren't going to pay Ramsey. We know that was done, and they didn't want to pay Jonnu Smith. And you can agree or disagree with it, but that was a decision that they made, and they got back a younger, talented player in Minkah Fitzpatrick, and they move forward. So I don't think the Dolphins lost the trade, but they say the Steelers get an A minus. And here's what they write for the Dolphins, who they grade a C in the trade. A C. For the Dolphins, this trade is a bit trickier to grade. On one hand, they're able to free up some salary cap space by getting rid of both Smith and Ramsey, but they also have to pay Fitzpatrick over $15 million in 2025, so some of their cap savings will go toward that. The fact that the Dolphins traded Ramsey wasn't overly surprising. The veteran cornerback had been, or they go on why they shouldn't pay Jalen Ramsey, and it didn't matter. He wasn't going to stay here anyways. They write, the Dolphins had also been shopping Smith, and they had been in talks with the Steelers earlier this offseason about a possible trade. The Dolphins got rid of 2 disgruntled players, but the problem is that both players still have a lot left in the tank. Ramsey was the best cornerback on the roster last year, and trading him away makes their secondary worse. As for Smith, he caught 88 passes last season, which led the team. He also finished with 884 receiving yards, which was second on the team only to Tyreek Hill. By trading away their best corner and their leading receiver from last season, the Dolphins definitely didn't get the better end on the field with this trade.
I don't understand the. Are we acting like Minkah Fitzpatrick's 37 years old? The guy's 28. He's coming off a couple of down seasons, injury, and just not great play last year. And clearly there was something that happened there between Minkah and the rest of the Steelers defense where it just kind of fell apart, and they were probably just as happy to get rid of Minkah as the Dolphins were to get rid of Jalen Ramsey. But if we're going to point out that, Ramsey still got good football ahead of him, like he's taken a couple of steps back and saying that he was the best cornerback on the Dolphins roster. Okay, the bar is below the floor on that. I'm not trying to disrespect Jalen Ramsey. He's still a good player, but he's not the same elite corner that he was at one point. Minkah Fitzpatrick's probably not the same elite player he was at one point. But before this year, a career high in targets over the course of a season for Jonnu Smith was 70, and that was in 2023 with Atlanta. He had 111 targets last year, and a lot of that was because the Dolphins couldn't run the ball, so it was a lot of quick stuff, and he was great for Miami last year. I'm not going to poo-poo the season that Jonnu Smith had because it's the best season the tight end has ever had in a Dolphin uniform. But he has never sniffed the type of season he had with the Dolphins previously. The only thing I'm looking at here, 2020, he had 8 touchdowns, but on 40 catches and less than 500 yards receiving. Like, he's a solid player, but they're not losing an all-pro at tight end. And I'm not saying that Darren Waller is going to be a suitable replacement. He doesn't really solve any of their, well, we need to get tougher on the inside. We need to get better in cold weather games. He doesn't solve that. He's not a blocking tight end by any stretch. That's kind of a wild card. You don't know what you're going to get from Darren Waller. But like this idea that the Dolphins gave up generational talent here that's so significant, like it's a little ridiculous. Like it was a move they had to make. And as you guys have pointed out, and as I said earlier in the week, if a guy is demanding a trade and doesn't want to be here, you have no leverage. So the idea that they got a former All-Pro, Pro Bowler, who's still below 30 years of age, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, that's about as well as you could do here. So get out of here with the C. I'm okay with like letting see it play out, but like that seems a little harsh.
And John, you bring up a lot of good points, and I agree with you. With like people are diminishing Minka. Like, oh, well, it was last year. Last year was the worst year of his career. Yeah, well, he was Pro Bowler, and he's still a Pro Bowler. He's a top 3 safety in this league. But in a vacuum, they got 2 starters because Jonnu and Jalen Ramsey are starting NFL players, and we got 1 starter. So I'm comfortable with anybody grading out that the Pittsburgh Steelers have a higher grade because they have 2 new starters. We have 1 new starter. So that's the simplicity of it. Jalen was not going to be here. We had to get rid of him. The Pittsburgh was talking to Jonnu before. They weren't going to trade Jonnu for Mika Fitzpatrick straight up. So now we can throw in Jalen, get that money off the books, and now get Minka, which we wanted him back. Obviously, they wanted him back because they traded for him and talked about it. He didn't want to be there. Jonnu, I think Jonnu wanted to be here. He just wanted $12 million a year. And Chris Greer couldn't continue to pay everybody top dollar. And Jalen Ramsey was not putting a Dolphin helmet on for the remainder of his life. So if you look at it with context to it, I think it was pretty even. I would give both a B. Yeah. We don't know what Jonnu's going to be. They still got, what's his name, Fairmouth, the big white boy. Yeah. He balls out too. So Jonnu's not getting, to your point, Josh, Jonnu's not getting 111 targets next year. There's no way.
Also with on the outside.
DK Metcalf with Woods there, with they have their young boy, Austin something. He's not getting 100 targets next year. He's not going to have the numbers he had last year with the Dolphins. Jalen Ramsey is going to start opposite of Joey Porter Jr., but they also have Darius Slade that comes in there. Who's playing a nickel? Who's playing outside? There's a lot more to it when you put context behind this trade. I think both teams are a solid B. We got a player we wanted. He didn't want to be there. We had a player that didn't want to be with us that now they're there. They're going to help them. Minka's going to help us. Even trade, B pluses, B minuses for either team. That's where I would grade it.
And I'm pretty sure they're not locked into Minka Fitzpatrick after 2025. They can get rid of him before the 2026 season if they're not satisfied with whatever happens this upcoming season with him. So it's not like they're locked in long term as far as the salary cap goes with Minka Fitzpatrick. I think it's about as well as you could do in a situation like this for the Dolphins. And again, the idea that we think that with who's out there in free agency at corner, not saying that's going to solve any major problems, but at least for this season, like there are some solid veterans out there, maybe like an Asante Samuel, who's coming off a pretty major injury, but maybe this is his chance at rebounding from that and being a solid player. Who knows? They have options right now. Like it's only July 2nd. Training camp's at the end of this month. The season doesn't start until September. I would imagine they'll add a corner or two that's still out there and available before then. This is not the finished product. It's not the finished roster. I don't know what it's going to be. I think they're still going to be 3 bounces away from being 10-7 or 7-10. But it's not the finished product of what the roster is going to look like.
I'm with you. They got to add some quarterbacks. That's just facts.
Quarterbacks?
Corners.
Oh, okay.
They good. Yeah. They have Zach Wilson. We're set to go.
Oh, okay.
And Quinn Ewers.
Quinn Ewers. I was going to say, hey, they got Quinn. Yeah.
I'd rather see Quinn over Zach Wilson.
Well, hopefully you don't see either this year. Let's be honest.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Hey man, you love Skylar Thompson. You ran away from that. Huh?
Yeah, no, I have no credibility when it comes to the quarterback discussion anymore. That's fair. You know, I got to take it. I got to eat it.
Put him in the game. Guys.
I was a Skylar Thompson guy, and he got his opportunity. And to be fair, he looked pretty good as a rookie in Buffalo in that playoff game.
Did he though?
He looked pretty good.
He was like 7 for 14.
Like 19 of 42.
He looked pretty good. Talking about in his uniform, standing there.
Yeah, no, he looked like he fit the part.
He does fit past the eye test. Definitely looks like he should be.
You know, I'm not gonna get any acceptance on my Skylar Thompson love from Mike White's close personal friend over here. So.
Hey, listen, they have a great relationship. It's nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
How's Mike doing?
Great. Looking forward to a great year in Buffalo.